Pension plan online?
Say it again?
Is the pension plan, is that online yet?
Oh, no, that's not on mine yet, that's in my head. In due time, that will be applied. So again, let me thank you. I mean, this is a big time in our city, certainly as it relates to the financial stability of our city, now going into the future. I do want to say to all of the employees, I appreciate every single one. I appreciate everything that they have done. I think we all recognize that there were going to be changes, and we're at this point now to move forward on the plan. But I think when people look at the plan, whether you're an active employee or retired employee, I think people will conclude that this is a very fair plan for both parties concerned. I've talked with retirees, I've talked with many of the active employees, those who are aware of what's been put forward, and I think they find it to be a pretty good one. Okay.
Mayor, really quickly on Prop 1, HISD Prop 1, I noticed you were in an ad against that. Can you talk about just your position on that and why you're against it?
Well, I was in the legislature for 26 years and on the Finance Appropriations Committee for 21 of those 26 years. When the Texas Supreme Court ruled that the finance system, the way we finance education, was constitutional, but the legislature needed to address it. That was not a decision that was going to move the legislature to address things. Legislature moves when its back is up against the wall, especially on big issues. So on so many levels, that decision was detrimental to children, 4.5 million children across the state of Texas. Under recapture, no one anticipated that Houston Independent School District would be in recapture. No one, including the Speaker of the Texas House. And so now for HISD to be a part of recapture, well, you're going to have to send, the district will have to send $160 million someplace else. When there are tremendous needs in the city, and when no one envisioned that HISD would ever be in that place, there are some serious problems. Now, if HISD and the people have to vote to send the money out, and when you look, and I would ask you to look at the language that's being placed on the ballot. It talks about purchasing school attendance credits. It doesn't say at all that if you make this vote, $160 million is going elsewhere. I mean, look at the language. And look how the city of Houston over the last few years has been criticized, and how there's a lawsuit right now for the language being ambiguous and people not knowing what they are voting on. So I would encourage you, take a look at the language and then you discern whether or not people will know exactly what they're voting on. Because it doesn't say if you vote, you're sending $160 million away. It talks about purchasing school credits, attendance credits. Well, on balance, that sounds great, but that's sending the dollars away. And HISD can ill afford to do that. Now, if we vote no, and I'm encouraging people to vote no, then TEA can step in and reassign a commercial property to another school district outside of our area. And the tax rate on that property more than likely will be higher. Okay? It will be higher. And once done, it is forever. Well, that's a bad outcome too. Okay? Either way, you have two bad choices. From my vantage point, having been in the legislature before, what forces the legislature to address this situation? And that's when the people in the city of Houston vote no, that this is, number one, the language is highly ambiguous. So if they vote no, we're not going to do it. And then say to the legislature, now if you want to come in and take a property out of Houston and assign it, let's say, to some other area where they did not intentionally go and set up shop, and if you think that's constitutional, which I don't think it is, then that's a bigger issue. I don't think you can take a property in the city of Houston, assign it to some other county elsewhere, force their tax rate to be increased, and that's constitutional. I don't think it is. And I think any commercial property owner that is involuntarily reassigned, I think any halfway decent lawyer can challenge that. This is a situation, a problem that needs to be fixed. Today, at this point, we're dealing with HISD. The next one was San Antonio, and after that it is Dallas. The legislature needs to step in and address it. And they're not going to do it if HISD simply says, and the people say, we're going to willingly send you $160 million because we are now in recapture when no one envisioned HISD would ever be in recapture. Now, for schools that are areas, that districts that are already in it, I'm not trying to say, okay, HISD is different. But what I am trying to say, either tweak it, make the adjustments, or put it on hold until the legislature can come up with a much better solution. But it's not going to happen if you vote yes. And that's why I'm encouraging voters to vote no, recognizing that the choices we have been given are awful choices. So you make the best choice that you can. But if people were not concerned with it, then why make the language so ambiguous that people don't know what they're voting on? And I hope you'll take a good look at this issue and then ask some of the people who are suing the city for ambiguous language. What do they think about this language? Because there are people who are constantly suing the city for ambiguous language. Now, if you go read this language and you tell me that even the below average person or the highest average, however you want to look at it, understands what they're voting on. Because quite frankly, I didn't know it until I just took the time to go and research it. I just think that it's not a good deal, and I encourage people to vote no. Okay. Thanks a lot.